Okay. Hi, my name is Thomas Johnson, and I'm the founder and CEO of GetUpNGetFit, Wellness and Fitness Coaching Concierge. I'm also a C-suite advisor and investor, and you're listening to How May I Serve You, where I'm constantly on the quest to surround myself with the best coaches while learning how to better serve our executive clientele by asking them, how may I serve them? Today's show is sponsored by Get Up and Get Fit, and Get Up and Get Fit will be providing students with textbooks and school supplies in Cambodia in honor of our guest today, as well as our philanthropic passion to put people in a position to enable themselves always. And today's guest is the lovely and the amazing Tina Greenbaum. How you doing, Tina?
I'm good, Thomas. How are you today?
Oh, I'm ecstatic. Listen, I always like having conversation with you. Okay, you are such a great energy. You have so much energy flowing through you. So whenever I get the chance to speak to you, it's always a good time. So
and I love your smile.
thank you. So Tina Greenbaum is a psychotherapist, C-suite advisor with the C-suite network, as well as a seasoned executive coach of 37 years. She knows that the ability to think clearly under pressure and manage in high pressure situations are what separates great leaders from everyone else. In Washington, D.C., New York City, and now San Francisco, she has been a trusted advisor to very successful business owners and executives. She knows the challenges they struggle with, both personally and professionally, and know how to reinforce their inner emotional strength. Ooh, let's go. Tina, oh my goodness. How you doing today? Talk to me.
I'm good. I'm good. You and I just talked a couple minutes ago, and I had kind of messed up this calendar, and you said, here we go, and here we are.
Yeah, we are. So Tina forgot about her podcast interview today, but she came through strong. Like she said, she thrives under pressure, and she's living her true words.
That is the truth.
So I'm gonna ask you a few questions, okay? So for right now, I want you to tell us a little bit more about yourself, the 2-minute version.
2-minute version.
Yeah.
I started out 30, now coming on 38 years as a psychotherapist, working with women with eating disorders. That was my first group of clients.
Wow.
And I recognized really early that I used to say to them, I hear you, but I don't feel you. And so if I don't feel you, you're not going to change. And I want to be really successful at what I'm doing. And nobody had ever treated eating disorders before. So it kind of took me into that mind-body experience. I went to a yoga class and I got into that deep state of relaxation. I said, wow, if I could only get those young women to do this, then maybe they wouldn't need their addiction, because all addictions actually are anxiety-based. Anyway, that was the beginning of a pretty long, fabulous career. And working in those places, Washington, New York, here in San Francisco, so actors, dancers, performers, people really wanting to work at a very high level. And what I recognized is they didn't know how. If you haven't been taught, I say good mental health is not a natural sport, it's a learned sport. And the things that I have acquired through my own education and practice, just like how do I kind of put this stuff together in 2 minutes and kind of see really clearly about what's in front of me and what I need to focus on, and then what needs to kind of be left aside. And so it's a practice of getting into peak performance skills, the state of flow, and being able to manage yourself so that the body is calm and the mind is clear.
Okay.
And when that happens, people actually want to be around you, because it's being your most authentic self working at your highest level.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's amazing right there. And you're absolutely right. When I'm around people that are being themselves, it doesn't feel like any type of work, right? It feels effortless because they're not trying to pretend. I'm not trying to pretend. Everything just flows.
Exactly.
That's how it's supposed to be. So you just shared with us why you got into coaching. So right now, who do you currently coach right now? Because that was the beginning, right? That was the origin. You started off
early stages. right?
Yeah.
So I love working with high-level people who have really big minds and great aspirations to impact the world. People that I'm attracted to, and somehow seems to be a mutual attraction. I like to work with folks that want to be at their highest level, and maybe you're not just quite there, that they know that there's more. They know that there's more to grow. And so people who are willing to learn, willing to put themselves in a hot seat, take on the challenge of personal growth, and maybe this isn't working so well, and maybe I do have blind spots, and maybe you could help me. I always say everybody else knows your blind spots. Wouldn't you want to know them too? So that person who's really kind of maybe in the organization doing really well financially perhaps, but maybe not the greatest manager, or could use some people skills, communication skills. But basically it's really learning in every aspect, mind, body, spirit, and motion, to be all of you can be.
Yeah. So Tina, do you find it that these individuals find it difficult to approach you, or is it effortless for them?
I don't know that it's such a problem to approach me. Is they have to feel initially that I've got something that I want to work on. You know, I had somebody who came to me not too long ago who's pretty high up in an organization, very high up in an organization. And he said, you know, I'm working financially, I'm doing great, just not happy. And I'm actually angry all the time. And he had never really kind of put those things together, that perhaps why he was angry was he wasn't feeling respected. And he also wasn't putting forth what he needed to put forth to have people respect him.
Oh, okay.
So just lots of the nuances that we don't necessarily, that don't show up easily, but over time we can begin to start to see a pattern. This isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. And I'm not sure what it is, but I want to fix it.
Got it. Okay. So, Tina, there are so many different coaches out there, right? And so many different coaching styles. How would you articulate your coaching style?
Well, I think what sets me apart from many coaches, and there are a lot of fabulous coaches, but my psychotherapy background has given me an opportunity to understand people at a really deep level. And that's one thing. And the other thing is I can actually diagnose. I know when somebody is seriously depressed, and the work that I'm doing with them is not going to work, because until they can get their serotonin level up, and that our work is not going to be successful. I have a real specialty in anxiety, and kind of, again, coming up not only from a mind-body perspective, but from the neuroscience background.
Okay.
I have a lot of training in trauma and all kinds of things, all kinds of skills that help me get into somebody's unconscious mind, because that's actually where change happens.
Yes, indeed. So, because of COVID, I've seen a steady rise of anxiety cases. People are more stressed out now than ever before. Have you also noticed the same thing? Are more of your clients coming to you with these heightened anxiety levels?
Yes, and again, very high functioning people who kind of have called me. I'm just not doing well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not managing this really well. And so being able to put it in context of what's actually happening to us. I always like to look at the bigger picture. I always call it like my helicopter view. So what's really going on? Well, what's really going on is we have experienced a tremendous amount of loss. And with loss comes grief. And with that makes us feel like we have no control. And so sometimes, again, understanding the context of what's happening helps us find those. Yes, it's very normal to be angry. It's very normal to feel kind of lost. It's very normal to feel like, I remember at the beginning of COVID, I had a wedding party planned for my son and daughter-in-law. It was a wedding celebration. So luckily it wasn't the actual marriage.
Yeah. My
family was coming from all over the country, and little by little, this COVID thing was kind of starting to show up. And my son said to me one day, he says, "Mom, it's a thing." It's really a thing that you got to pay attention to. And so I was bargaining, well, maybe if we do this and maybe if we do that, until the word pandemic came. And then it was like,
Yep. That word just shut everything down.
so being able to honestly, really good mental health is how flexible the mind can be. And to recognize what was 2 minutes before is no more. And so the only time in our existence that we have any control of is in the present moment.
Yes, indeed.
We hear about this, but what does it actually mean to bring ourselves in the present moment? Because again, if your reality is here, this is the present moment, and our expectations are over here, in between, we're going to have frustration and disappointment.
Yes.
Like, how quickly can I come to what is? In this moment, this is what I have to deal with. And then my always big operative question is, what's in my control? What's out of my control? It's the first thing that as soon as I start to feel stressed, as soon as I start to feel like things are, okay, what's in my control? What's out of my control?
Okay.
And I start there.
So Tina, when you feel out of control, right? What are some exercises that you do, right? Some mental health exercises that you implement at that moment in time to take yourself out of that negative state to a higher state. Do you mind sharing with us?
Sure. So I just use the example of what happened just between you and I this morning.
That's a perfect one.
This is perfect. It's an everyday kind of thing. We're busy people, and I know for me, when my mind gets too busy, I lose track of some of the details. So I do my best. I had you on the calendar, and then we had a meeting yesterday, and I said to myself, well, that must be a mistake. And so I eliminated it from the calendar, and luckily you called me half an hour before. But when you called me, it's like, okay, what's in my control? What's out of my control? I have a half an hour. I made a mistake. That's gone. Thomas is a big boy. He'll understand that. He'll forgive me that I wasn't perfect. So I kind of take that reality, rather than just, oh my God, how did I miss that? And why didn't I do that? Because that takes up energy.
Yes, it does.
Right, that's done. Can't do anything about that. Okay, right now I looked at the clock. We have a half an hour. I have enough time. I can get dressed. I can be ready for this. Boom, I'm in control. Okay. If our appointment had been at 9:30 my time, and I looked at the clock and it was done, I would have said, that's out of my control. Thomas, I apologize. Let's get it on the calendar again for another day. But it's training the mind so quickly to be able to see what the options are. And then great leaders are able to see them very, very quickly. And then we choose. Sometimes we have more time to make a decision than others. Sometimes we have to make it like right on the spot. Okay. Can I assess that situation really quickly? And in really big situations where the pressure is really big, God forbid, let's just say there were an earthquake. I live on the 27th floor. What would I do? I'd have to be prepared. I'd have to have an earthquake, and I'd have to have an exit plan. And even if I don't, I still, in the moment, I have to think about, okay, how am I going to get out of here? And that's all I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about, wow, this is really scary. I might be feeling it, but I have enough, I have enough spaciousness in my nervous system that I can feel something and also act. And what happens, honestly, Thomas, is when our nervous system is over its capacity. Right? This is called a window of tolerance. So this is my body, mind's tolerance, my nervous system's tolerance for stress. So here comes the stress. I'm in my window. Everything's cool. All right. And then I can go on my day. But let's just say I'm in my window, but my window, I don't have the tolerance. I haven't trained myself. I haven't trained my nervous system to be able to tolerate that much energy. And so here it comes. And then the stress response happens. And now I can't think clearly. My mind goes, my body gets tight, the muscles get tight, my heart starts to race. And I'm not my best self.
Mm. Okay.
So the job is to be able to expand this window of tolerance. I can't control those things that are going on out there, but here comes the stress. It's just another problem.
So Tina, would you say great leaders have more of awareness when it comes to their level of controlling that window?
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, for some people, it's a natural thing. I mean, I've always been able to see the consequences.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
been a natural thing for me. Some people don't. Some people are very impulsive and they get themselves into situations. Oh my God, how
Hmm.
did I get myself here? So and that has been part of my leadership capabilities because I can always see what's coming, or many times I can. But to be able to control this nervous system so that my body is not agitated, that's taken work.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the great leaders have a deep understanding of themselves,
Self-awareness.
self-awareness, really kind of knowing who they are, what their weak points are, what their strong points are, what to lay off to somebody else, what to just say, this is in my wheelhouse, I'm going to take this. And we do it with relative ease. Relative.
So Tina, I guess when it comes to this specific subject, it's you kind of have to put your ego aside
Ugh.
to really come to grip with reality, right? And be honest with yourself,
Boy. Yeah. And that's not easy for a lot of people to do,
Yes, you're absolutely right when it comes to that.
particularly with great aspirations to be great in this world. And
Okay.
I think, one of my favorite stories, I have a really good friend who was a creative director at one of the TV stations at one point. And he was brilliant, creative, beautiful, but he had a really hard time working with other people because he didn't have the tolerance for them.
Mm.
Another aspect of leaders, many times, because you see things so quickly and so clearly, a lot of your people who are working for you do not.
Mm. That's true. That's true.
Right? I want to get it done. I want to get it done. I want to get it
Mhm.
done. And you've got all these different personalities and all this different stuff, and people are not, come on, let's go, let's go. And so he used to get himself in a lot of trouble. He kind of tells the story. He has 26 jobs on his resume.
26 jobs. Wow.
High pay, high jobs, high paying things, but he was impossible to be an employee.
Understood. Understood.
And he wasn't a great manager.
But at least he was honest about it, right? He was able to realize that he was not a great manager, and he shared that with you. To be honest enough to share your faults, I think that's commendable. You know.
Absolutely.
Um. So
That's the beginning.
yes, yes. So if someone was looking for a coach, what traits would you advise to look for?
Well, the first thing I tell people is have a conversation. Just interview 3 people, let's say, and have a conversation and see how you relate to them. Because the truth is, the healing in this coaching relationship is the relationship. I could have this skill and this skill and this skill, but if I can't really deliver it
Mm-hmm.
and it's not landing with you, it's not going to work. So, and also be able to say, this is what I'm looking for. This is where I'm at. And many times we don't even know what it is. Just like that fellow who came to me, he said, I'm just not happy.
Yeah, that's very vague.
Not happy. And so then I could start in this kind of 30-minute consultation, start to kind of pull out, perhaps some of the reasons maybe why he wasn't happy. And so the other thing is, when you're interviewing somebody, how quickly can they assess what it is that they think that your issue is? So in other words, I can listen to somebody, but I'm listening with I call it big ears. So it's not just, I'm not hearing just your words.
Yeah.
I'm taking in everything. So you may be telling me that you're really calm at this thing, but I'm picking up your anxiety.
Mm.
And I know that that's not really completely the truth.
So you're also intuitive as well.
Very intuitive. Exactly.
Understood. Okay. Okay.
And I think that that's really kind of what makes this an art rather than just something that you learn in school. Of sort of being able to listen, sort of know when to come in, know when to sit back, and just let somebody find the answers themselves. I always say, like, I'm just a guide. I'm a teacher.
Got it.
Say, like, hey, let's just look over there. You're looking over here, but let's just look over there.
Tina, do you know what I'm hearing? I've been conducting these podcast interviews, and when I interview a great coach, I'm always hearing the guide word, right? They compare themselves to a guide. And I'm seeing this correlation over and over again. Whenever I ask specific questions, whatever they answer with, I'm just a guide, or something along that path. I'm like, yes, this person's a good coach. Yeah, so that correlation has definitely been something I've been mindful of.
Yeah.
So I just want to share that with you really quickly.
And I thought you were going to say when you said guide was the God word, which we don't use very much because it's just something, unless that's somebody's kind of propensity. But what happens with the intuition is I'm given the information. It's not me. It comes through me. So I might be just sitting and talking. You and I are, just like you were interviewing me, and things are coming to you. And then you come ahead and ask, and that's kind of what happens. I'm just kind of listening, and then and it's always from my right side, and it comes in as an image or a thought field or something. And then I'll just say, hey, Thomas, I'm just wondering, could this be true for you? And you say, how do you know that? And I said, I don't know. I just know.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually pretty powerful right there. So I guess everyone's not built like that, right? It takes a specific type of person to be able to share that intuition and that skill set. Because everyone cannot feel everyone's energy, right? For instance, like for many years I thought people could feel music, and I realized a few years ago that everyone cannot feel music. I'm like, huh? How's that possible? So
and great music would be on, and he'd be sitting still. Really?
You don't feel that? Move your body. Oh man.
But it's true.
Yeah, but I mean, it's fascinating how human beings are, right? We all built differently. We all have different level of skill, right? At different facets and just different levels. So it's it's interesting just studying human beings as a whole. I find it extremely interesting.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm asking a few more questions before we wrap this up. I'm enjoying my time with you. So normally this podcast is like 20 minutes, but we're gonna go past that point. So I want you to give me like a short success story, like a 1-minute success story, right? If you don't mind sharing with us.
I don't mind sharing it all. So I'm going to go back to that fellow who had 26 jobs.
Okay.
And he tells the story of when he started working at this organization. He was given a big task in 3 days that he had to come up with a whole campaign for this sports department. And he walked into his supervisor's office, and he said, all with this, this whole thing of like, I got this thing, and the guy says, wait a minute. He said, this is not an emergency. There are no emergencies in business. He said, an emergency is when you're taking a loved one to a hospital.
Ooh. Say that again one more time. That was such a profound comment right there.
There are no emergencies in business. An emergency is when you take a loved one to the hospital. So you have a job, and how much time do you have? Or you don't. And so coming to the reality of what our work is, what our lives are. And so with this person, we did a lot of work on how he could be a better manager, could be a better coworker, could be a better leader. And it all came from him doing that level of self-evaluation. And he shared with me one day, he said, I'm actually pretty scared of people.
Oh, wow. That level of.
And so he had this overworking ego, because he's smart and he's funny and he's this and he's that, to keep people at a certain distance.
See, it's compensating.
Exactly right.
Interesting.
So the work that we did is very much kind of, what does it feel like when you're terrified of people and you're in a very, very high position? And, and the work that he needs to do actually even on a visceral level. And so when I work, I use the body a lot. And because the body gives us information. And so if I'm terrified, I'm gonna feel it.
Yeah. Go freeze up.
Right. But that's my beginning. I notice how terrified I am. Okay, now, so that's the level of awareness. And now what am I going to do about it? And then we go through many different ways to be able to relax that trigger, because it's a trigger, an unconscious trigger, so that you actually can take people on and not have that reaction. And that's really been the bulk of my work. It's like, how do I get under the conscious mind so that you can experience yourself differently? Because he had been in therapy for years, and you could talk about it from now until doomsday, but it's not going to change that.
Yeah, it's doing the work.
It's doing the work, and again, having a guide that knows where to take you.
True. Yes, indeed. Yes,
if
indeed.
You're just talking and you're talking behavior, and you're not changing. We have to know, okay, so this isn't working. This goal setting, and this isn't working. So now, okay, so what do we need to clear out so that actually the goal setting can work?
Self-evaluation.
Yeah,
I love
it's finding those obstacles. I'm going forward, but I'm not really going forward. Something's stopping me, and I don't know what it is.
Definitely. Tina, it's like I could have this conversation with you for hours and hours. Like, I enjoy our conversation.
Me too.
I'm asking another question though. So, are you currently working on any new projects that you would like to share with us?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a program and I have a book. It's called Mastery Under Pressure. And I am working on gathering these very, very high-powered leaders, people that I just described, who want to move forward, who really, really want to take their careers, their professional lives, their personal lives to the highest level that they possibly can. And so I have this program, Mastery Under Pressure, where I teach people how to do that. And, the book also does. And then also for people who may be struggling with weight issues, because this is where I started my career. And I have an 8-module program that we're offering for Valentine's Day as a lucky for $47. And it's really good. It's really good. So It's mastery over eating.
Nice. Listen, all of you guys out there, all of our listeners, right, and contact Tina ASAP. And with that being said, so if someone were to inquire about your services or just want to connect with you, where can we find you, Tina?
Okay, you can find me at Tina, Tina, at masteryunderpressure.com. My website is masteryunderpressure.com. And if you actually want to take a quiz for your peak performance level, you can go to masteryunderpressure.net.
Nice. That's awesome. Whew, listen, I enjoyed this conversation. I felt like I literally felt like I was sitting on my couch, just having a conversation with you, like the way we normally do. Right?
So
But this has been such an amazing podcast interview. So thank you once again for coming on. And I would like to thank all our listeners and viewers so much for tuning in today. So if everyone is interested in connecting with Tina, please reach out to her ASAP, right?
Yes,
And
okay.
tune in for next episode. But last but not least, Tina, how may I serve you?
Oh, my goal is to impact as many people as I possibly can in teaching these skills.
Okay.
So whoever you know that might be interested in this work and willing to have a conversation, just have a conversation with me, and then we can go from there.
Amazing.
Companies, teams, I just want to take it far so that I can give more to these kids in Cambodia and right here in Oakland and Philadelphia, where I grew up. And that's really that's the give back that I
Yeah.
want to be able to do in a really big way.
There you go. That's awesome right there. Because you're not big when it comes to philanthropy. This is why I connected with you. So everyone, if you guys don't know, Tina, myself, and another professional, we are going to be conducting a program in March. So keep a lookout. All right. She's
Yes.
the mental, the psychotherapist, the mindset. I come through with the lifestyle, the organization, and everything have to do with physical. And then we have another person that's going to take it home. So keep a lookout for this workshop. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait for it. But everyone, once again, thanks for coming through. Tina, it's been an absolute pleasure. Okay, I'm looking forward to talking to you again soon.
Thanks so much.